Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode with Thunder Sports Pod with JT and
Stash, baby. We back at it again.
yes, sir. We have a special guest today with us, PTSD play-by-play, welcoming huge welcome. Thank you for joining.
I appreciate the welcome. Thank you for the invite.
Yes, sir. So this is going to be exclusively a baseball podcast, everybody. Now, we don't really talk about it a lot, but we have some great advice. We're just going to talk about today. Inside Phillies, Philadelphia Phillies fan. I love it. I love it. So. Let's talk about the All-Star game. It's coming up pretty soon. So, what's your guys' opinions and thoughts regarding it?
Would you like me to speak first, sir?
Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
go
Okay.
ahead. Yes, sir.
94th MLB All Star Game. Honestly, I haven't missed one yet. Obviously,
Mm,
I was a military man. I was unable to watch while I was overseas. But as a kid, this has always been my Super Bowl. What
mhm.
about you guys?
Yeah, it's something I always enjoy hearing about. I don't really watch it a lot every year, but it's cool to see the highlights. I think it'll be something interesting to keep an eye on. But what do you think about it, Stash?
Actually, I think the MLB All Star is one of the coolest things in sports, mostly because like whoever wins, they get home field advantage for the World Series. And I love that.
Very
I
cool.
think that is just such an awesome thing to do, and that like we've talked about it before on the channel. I think the NBA needs to go to that because I think that is an awesome idea to have.
Mm, I
And
agree.
obviously, being a team sport, even if your team is performing poorly in the first half of the season, now is the time to celebrate individual achievement.
Yeah.
For sure. 100%. And just honor all of the achievements as they have, collected over the course of this season. And speaking of that, rookie from Pittsburgh, Paul Skeens making the All-Star team. So I think that's a huge accomplishment for him, and a lot of people are saying he's going to be the next great thing in baseball. What's your opinion on it?
Fully agree 110%. He's certainly something to watch. I would watch his pitch counts throughout the year. You want to avoid Tommy John surgery as much as possible. I mean, that goes without saying. Um, that was actually my pick. You stole my pick. I was gonna say he is the most deserving All Star. That was one of the questions you were going to bring up. I'll dive more into that later.
Mm, for sure. Yes, while we're on that subject, might as well touch it. Who is the most deserving All-Star in your opinion?
Sure, would you like to go first? I don't want to hog the microphone.
Nah, you're fine. I picked Aaron Judge on this one. He's got 33 home runs already on the year, and he's got 84 RBIs. I think he has had a class like season so far. It's a great season. I'm taking Aaron Judge on this.
Mm, 100%.
And for me, yeah, gentlemen, I got to admit, born and raised downtown Pennsylvania, you say the word favorite, you know where I'm going with this, but I have to show respect on both sides as a professional commentator and a fan. So obviously my favorite all-star pitcher Ranger Suarez for the Philadelphia Phillies. He went
Mm.
from a no-name pitcher to who the heck is this guy? He was 9-0, started out undefeated the first 9 games, pitching a 1.36 ERA earned run average.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, insane. And
Mm.
most deserving All Star, you definitely stirred the pot there, sir. Thank you for diving in. Pittsburgh Pirate pitcher Paul Skenes, rookie starting an All Star game 5,000 times. Wow, unreal. I don't even know it's ever happened before.
Mm.
Undefeated with a 1.90 ERA and 89 strikeout.
Wow. That ERA is absurd. That's unheard of for such a young player. Um, I'm excited to watch his career develop. I think he's only going to get better. The most deserving All-Star, in my opinion, I think it was Paul. I think he's really just outperformed expectations early. And a lot of these kids coming in, early draft picks, they're in the minor leagues for a little while because they don't show the extreme talent to the big leagues right away. So I love that he's been making that transition almost seamlessly already.
Well put.
For sure. But we'll go ahead and move on, everybody. So, next topic at hand. Way too early World Series predictions. Who do you guys have?
So I actually, I think play by play is gonna like this. I got the Phillies Orioles in the
Ooh.
yeah, that's my pick right now. Phillies are 61 and 33. Oilers are 57 and 37. I think both of them been on a roll. So that's my early prediction for it.
Okay, nice.
All
I
right.
like it. We could possibly see that.
Is it way too early for a World Series prediction? Absolutely. This is a marathon, not a sprint. You obviously know it's a 162 game season. We're halfway through. But postseason predictions are completely valid. Even
Mm,
though Philadelphia and LA are atop their divisions in the NL, their all stars caught the injury bug early, which can turn the season upside down for obvious reason. It,
mm,
Mookie Betts was absent from the Phillies Dodger game. Tyler Glasnow is still on the shelf, and uh, stinking JT Romito, catcher for the Phillies, he's rehabbing still. He was missing,
mm.
so it really can happen at a drop of a hat. Seasons can turn upside down. And I gotta say something else before we go into the next. Last place NL Central Chicago Cubs. I know you're thinking last place, but again, at least 80 games to go. The Cubs just swept the red hot Baltimore Orioles by a total of 21-2. The
Wow,
Cubs will make a run for first place.
that's incredible.
Yeah,
We could possibly see the Cubs making a run towards the end of the season. I would love that. That'd be pretty cool to see. We'll have to wait and see how they perform down the stretch. But for me, I'm gonna see what you guys think about this. It's not really what people would predict, but I've got in the AL, I've got the Boston Red Sox, fifth place currently, I believe. I think they could make a pretty good run down the stretch. And then for the NL, I've got the New York Mets. I know in the past they've been pretty big on trying to bring in these high dollar free agents, but I think they kind of put it together down the stretch. I've just got a gut instinct on this. I think it's Red Sox Mets. I could be totally wrong, but we'll have to wait and see.
you are, pun intended, swinging for the fences.
Exactly. Indeed, I am. And like you mentioned in your prediction, I think injuries any point during the season that can derail a team, and we'll have to wait and see. Whoever gets hot down the stretch really could make an impact.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. Going on to the next topic, we will cover what's more important to a team, a power hitter or more of a consistent just line driver player.
Me personally, I take the line driver over the power hitter. If he's
Mhm.
consistent and he can consistently get me a single or a double every time he comes up, I'm gonna take that over. Like, don't get me wrong, like it sells tickets to hit home runs.
Yeah,
It does a lot to hit home runs. You can win a game off a home run, but you can also win a game off for a single or a double. So I'm taking the consistent line driver on this one.
yeah.
Make a valid point. I can't agree more with the money aspect of the game. People don't want line drives; they want home runs. And when you get home runs, ticket sales go up, jersey sales go up. It helps the big CEOs and the box offices. So agree to the second half of that, sir. Line drives. Your power hitters often approach the batter's box with one thing in mind: over the fence home run.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, you often see pop ups instead of your home runs, like leadoff hitter Kyle Schwarber for my Philadelphia Phillies. It's
Mm.
normally pop out, strikeout, or home run. It could be either one of the three. A consistent line driver, though it's not over the fence and jaw dropping awesome, it does put the ball in play, gets the runners home if they're on scoring position. Fully agree to your assessment.
For sure. I agree with both of you guys. I think most people would say, oh, yeah, home run, big, heavy hitter. But I mean, like you mentioned, they're going to swing for the fences. It's not going to be a home run every time. So they're gambling every time they step into the plate. I think I'm taking the more consistent line driver. That's going to be the team player. They're not going to try to go for it all in one swing. So I think the consistent double or even single play there would be more beneficial for each organization.
Very true.
But let's
I
go
think we
ahead
can call
and
that
move
one
on
complete.
to the next topic, everybody. This is interesting. Two players head to head. Who are you taking? Who would you rather have on your team? Ellie De La Cruz or Freddie Freeman? Young star versus an established vet.
I I'm going Freddie Foreman. Ellie, I have it. Freddie Foreman's done basically every single thing you can basically do Like I, I gotta go with him on it. Like he's done everything.
Ready. Okay. Yeah, back when he played for the Braves, man, big impact for that Atlanta team.
Very true. I do remember those days. Absolutely. Freddie Freeman was decent. He's still a great player, but I feel like he's in a bit of a slump. I looked up a few of the stats here, and it's quite jaw dropping. I didn't even believe it at first. Freddie
Mm.
Freeman is 34 years old. De La Cruz is 22.
Ooh,
22. He's
wow.
putting up some serious numbers, and I'm going to get into it later with the numbers and his stolen bases. Jaw
Mm,
dropping.
yes.
Um, Freeman's only got 4 bags stolen, with De La Cruz at 45.
Mm,
And yeah, Freeman's home runs is at 14, De La Cruz at 15. So that's about even.
mm,
I'm leaning towards De La Cruz, and his he's still a young spring chicken who has a lot of years under his belt still, or not on his belt, but a lot of years yet to play.
yeah. For sure. I agree with you, for sure. I think I'm taking De La Cruz right here, 22 years old, great potential. I mean, he can only get better. And like you mentioned, he's one of the game's best just base stealer already. He's got a knack for getting around the bases, feeling the momentum, when to take a base, when I think that's a huge aspect of baseball. When to steal, when to not, because you can often get picked off more times than not if you're not careful. So I think having that good internal clock, when to go, when to not, when to stay, is huge. So I think he has a great kind of just keen vision at seeing that aspect of the game. So I'm thinking LaCruz here. I think he's only going to get better. Freeman's only going to age,
That's
but
true.
you could argue that his prime in Atlanta is better currently than LaCruz, but at the same time, we've yet to see LaCruz's prime. So I think he'll be entering it soon. And baseball fans, you're in for something special. I think it's going to be a very, very entertaining league for years to come.
Yep, fully agree. I seem to be repeating, but I'm certainly on your bandwagon there. I got a front row ticket to your bandwagons here. Yep.
Alrighty. So, what do you guys think about it? Let us know down in the comments. Who are you taking? Freddie Freeman or the man himself, De La Cruz? So, moving on to the next topic, though. So, why do you think some people watch baseball versus people who neglect the fact of watching baseball? I think it's quote unquote boring.
As someone who as watches baseball here and there, I think a lot of people I just don't think they appreciate baseball for what it is. If I'm being
Mm,
partly, the games take a while. They did add like the pitch clock now, which I do. I will talk about that a little bit later, but I think that actually helps the speed of games some, and I think it helps the fans enjoy it a little bit more. Uh, but I don't like it's America's pastime. Let's not forget. Like that's what everybody like. It is. It is the most. It was one of the most popular sports in America for the longest time. I mean, and it's in other countries now because of us. So I mean, I get it, but it's a great sport, and I think it's just a lot of games. But like, there's a lot of benefits to it too, because the games aren't super expensive. The
yep.
food's not super expensive, and if you drink, the beer's not that expensive.
Of course, you had to say drink in front of Sailor, right? All right, now I'm gonna try not to get too emotional about this because this question when you sent it to me, JT, it really touched me because baseball is my family sport.
Mm,
If you didn't watch it or play it growing up throughout your childhood like I did, it's difficult not to, it's difficult to gain the appreciation for a first and third and uh, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little emotional thinking of my grandfather. It's hard not to gain that appreciation with men on first and third, full count, multiple scenarios can happen. I'm on the edge of my seat.
mm,
I'm born into the game. My mind is always racing through the ultimate possibilities. And if it's a power hitter, is he going to squeeze to try to get a man home from third? I mean, I'm on. I want to watch a baseball game right now. I'm getting so jonesed about it. And the bonus I want to add in is every time I watch a Phillies game, I think of my pappy.
mm,
Army veteran, served in the Korean War, and he raised me. He
mm,
really raised me right. And uh, I think he's looking down above and being very proud of me of passing my lineage on to my children. And if you watch my videos on PTSD play by play, you'll see my kids dressed in the Phillies gear and screaming and having a great time. And it really bonds a family. Baseball really does.
It truly can. And thank you for your service, sir, while we might add. And I totally agree. I think baseball was America's pastime back in the day, and people kind of forget about the impact that it can truly have on families. And if you've never played baseball growing up, I think that's the key aspect of why people don't truly tune in or buy into baseball as much as they might possibly do as kids growing up playing it. They know the value of the game. So I think that's a crucial aspect. Like if you grow up playing basketball, if you grow up playing football, you're going to enjoy watching those games more so. But I think you hit it on the head with that one. I'm in total agreement, and I'm really gonna start watching baseball more often. I'm kind of like Stash here. I enjoy baseball from time to time, but I'm intrigued of the sport, and I truly want to just buy into it more in the future.
I mean, the only
I
thing.
got to add one more thing on this. I have a
Yeah.
United States Marine Corps buddy. Hey, baseball, great game. Only sport you can play while taking a nap.
Oh goodness.
It, some people, it is an acquired taste. Baseball, you gotta love the science behind it. I apologize
No.
if I interrupted.
Oh no, you're fine. No, I was just gonna say that. No, I think that's one thing I love about sports, especially with like family in general. It connects you on such a different level.
Mm.
Uh, I talk to my dad every time we talk. We're talking about like one of our favorite teams. We're just talking about them all the time. So no, I definitely
Awesome,
understand that.
nice.
For sure. Well, everybody, great subject. I love this one, but we're gonna move on to the next topic at hand. So, prediction time for the end of the year home run leader. Who do you think it'll be and why?
Call me a fan of the slight underdog, but I think I'm going to go with Gunnar Henderson of the Oilers. He has 27 home runs right now in the year. He's in
Okay.
third place, but I'm thinking he might walk away with it all.
I like that prediction. I really do. We'll have to wait and see.
I definitely have him on my list. Didn't take him, but definitely on my list. The top three is yes, Henderson, Judge, and Otani. I think
Hmm.
all of America can agree to that with the statistics. But here's the thing that a bit of an X factor. Aaron Judge has been walked 67 times compared to Otani's 49 times. Odds are Judge will be intentionally walked more than Otani in the second half of the season because people are, not people, but teams are trying to expose weaknesses to the other team or not allow your hot hitter to swing one over the fence. So when
Mm,
push comes to shove, watch out for the intentional walks, and I think Otani's going to take the home run trophy.
I could definitely see that. I
Ooh.
think for me, it was a hard decision. Ultimately, I was deciding between Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge, but I like your reasoning. I really do. I'm going to pick Shohei here. I think he takes the title. I know he's a little bit behind Judge currently, but that margin's not extreme at all. So I think you can catch him at the end of the year and bring home the home run champion of the quote unquote home run leader. I think he's got all the tools. I mean, he's a generational talent. He can do it all. And if he can stay healthy, I mean, he can bring home a championship possibly to that team.
Did you guys see
And
him
gentlemen,
celebrate
keep
the
in
other day?
mind
Yeah,
this is a 10-year, $700 million contract he's sitting on. This guy's a golden goose.
No,
really
he's
can.
excellent.
I agree in totality for sure. So, moving on real quick to the next topic, everybody. So, what are some of the biggest factors separating good from great MLB players, in your opinion?
Me personally, I think the biggest jump for MLB players, like from like minor to pro or good to elite, whichever way you want to look at it, I think it's mental. I think it's a giant
Mm,
mental leap that they have to take to be able to like perform that good. That's why like if you think about all the people who get drafted, you're in the minors for several years a lot of times. And there's a reason for that because it's just you haven't taken that leap forward yet. So for me, I think it's mental. I don't think it's size. I don't think it's a bit like athleticism or anything. I think it's just a big jump mentally.
I could definitely see that for sure.
Fully agree to that assessment. Yeah, I didn't even think about the minor leagues. That's a great spot. That's a great um, piece of research there. I personally let me back a bit into his minor league statistic there. I loved watching the college baseball World Series. It was quite entertaining, and everyone in the dugout. Do you realize the difference between MLB and college in the dugout? More than half the MLB guys are sitting back, just chewing on sunflower seeds. Everybody in the college baseball dugout is on the rail and, hey, buddy, let's go. You got this. Constantly cheering on the man at
Mm,
bat. When
yes.
there's a home run, everybody in the college dugout empties and celebrates. It's a whole different animal. I love watching college over MLB. What
Mm,
I do want to say with the separate good from great, unfortunately, the now generation of baseball players, politely speaking, needs to suck it up. While
yes. Yeah.
I'm being as
Yes.
kind as I can
Yeah.
to
Oh, yeah.
all the soon to become all stars. Soak this in, guys. While injured, Ripken Jr. played 2,632 games consecutively, spanning over 16 years. Now that is great.
Oh, wow. That's an Iron Man right there.
Definitely.
Yes,
For sure. I like to kind of piggyback off of both you guys. I think it's mental and I think it's a bit of toughness, a little bit of intrinsic motivation from within. You have to have that drive. You have to have that motivation. I think that's what separates the good from great players in baseball. You have to have that just extra motivation to get you over the hump to truly just drive that success from within. So, and if you have a great coach that can get the best out of you, that will definitely help as well. Um, for sure.
great coaching. Yep.
But everybody, let us know down below. What do you think separates good from great players in baseball? But we'll go ahead and move on to the next question. So, how has the pitch clock been beneficial to the game of baseball?
Don't think it's. I don't. So it's. I think it's beneficial to the fans. I don't think it's beneficial to the game, if that makes
Mm,
sense. Because I think with pitching, you can get in a rhythm, and being like before the pitch clock. Now it's a lot harder to get right in that rhythm that you're trying to get. You got a lot less time to like come in with the swing. I think for the players it is not beneficial, but for the fans it is.
mm,
You can I'm waiting to disagree with one of you guys. You guys really know your stuff. I'm hoping to slam like, oh man, that was terrible. What were you thinking? Both of you guys are great, and speaking of praising you, I again thank you for this invite. This has been more than awesome, and who doesn't want to talk baseball on a weekend? I got goosebumps. I don't know if you can see it. This is fantastic.
yes,
All
sir.
right, I do appreciate the MLB officials attending the fast forward of the game, but it increases the balk ratio. You guys are familiar with balks, correct?
Yes.
You're, the pitcher now has another obstacle in his head. Shoot, how much time is on the clock? This guy's got a far lead, and before you know it, he forgets where his lead foot is going to home
Mm,
plate or first, and he throws to first while his foot is pointed towards home plate. Guess what? Base runner's taking second. And every time the ump stops play, I'm sorry, every time the ump stops play and points to his wrist, signifying the pitch clock violation, here comes the manager waving his hands, arguing it up. There's five
mm.
minutes at least wasted. So you're trying to preserve time, and then the managers come out and argue. It's a complete wash. Yeah,
That, that, truthfully, that can really interrupt the rhythm of the game for the players and for the fans, like Stash mentioned. I can totally get it. They've been wanting to speed up the game for the longest now, but you've made a great point how it's probably not very beneficial to the players and the entire teams because they've been so used to not having a pitch clock where this is something new they've got to get used to. They've got to adjust everything, and it can truly disrupt the game flow entirely. So I'm in agreement with both of you. I think for the fans, yes, I think they're very excited about it. But for the players, I don't think all of them really truthfully enjoy it, especially the pitchers.
fully.
All right. So we have an interesting question. MVP prediction for the MLB. Way too early MVP prediction, what I might add.
Ooh. I'm just gonna take the safe bet on it. I'm gonna take Aaron Judd on it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the safe bet.
Oh yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, I've got four candidates:
Mm,
Judge, Otani, Harper, and Altuve.
mm.
All four of them have over batting averages over 300, except for Altuve. All of them are have a home run worthy count. The hits are somewhere in the low hundreds, but I mentioned the word X factor. I'm going to use it again. Stolen bases is my X factor, and it's the reason I'm picking Otani.
Mm.
You got Judge with five stolen, Harper with four, Altuve 14, decent, but 22 bags for Otani,
Ooh,
113 hits and 28 homers. If Otani stays healthy, as we mentioned before, that coin flip, it really could make or break a season. I'm picking Otani.
that's a great prediction. Amazing breakdown. I think truthfully it could be either one of those players, Aaron Judge or Tani. But it's going to be close towards the end of the season. A couple of games could sway the prediction of the final outcome. But I'm taking Aaron Judge. I think he's the favorite for a reason. I mean, he's leading his squad right now. I mean, they could make a run in the playoffs to truthfully show why they gave him that extreme contract. I mean, baseball money is absurd. I'm all for the players get paid, but so
Yeah,
I'm picking Aaron Judge with this one. He's been the favorite so far, and I think he continues to ride it out.
if I may add an honorable mention, my
Yes.
Phillies, Alec Bohm, 104 hits, batting 292.
Ooh,
Extremely decent. Almost crazy awesome. But yes, everyone we mentioned definitely peaks over Alec. Yep.
for sure. And Bryce Harper, while you mentioned, electrifying player, plays with a lot of passion. I love watching that man play baseball. It just gives me goosebumps every time I see him suit up for the Phillies. But one name, real quick, I'm gonna throw at you and just give me your thoughts about him as an Atlanta Braves player. I know the Phillies and Braves have a little bit of a history. Um, Chipper Jones back in the day. When I was a kid, I watched Chipper Jones play, and he was just so cool to me watching him. So I know my dad was a big Chipper Jones fan.
I remember in the '90s crying. Oh man, being a Phillies fan in the '90s with Andrew and Chipper Jones, Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, Bobby Cox managing Hall of Famers.
Mm,
Phillies, except for 1993, Phillies couldn't get past Atlanta, and it broke my heart.
mm,
Hats off to the victors. I'm certainly not a sore loser.
yeah,
Well done, Atlanta, and I'm hoping Philadelphia can go all the way this year.
for sure. They've definitely got all the talent in the world, and we'll see if the Phillies can take it home this year. I'm rooting for them, for you, and we'll see how they do.
May I add one thing about the home run derby? Or
Yes, go ahead. Yes, sir.
is that okay? All right. The home run derby, as the gentleman next to you mentioned about ticket sales and
Mm,
driving prices up. The home run derby does do that, and honestly, the home run derby has their own special jerseys. You can
mm,
find them online, and that's more money for the big cats in the press box, not press box, the box office
yeah.
seats. So it's great for ratings, but it's not great for the athlete.
Mm,
Baseball managers, they want their power hitters to approach with confidence, not with sheer, how do I say this? If anyone out there played baseball, you have your stance. You have to alter your stance to enter the home run derby. You're not looking for line drives anymore. You have to put it over the fence. And it's a vicious mind game with the batter to shake off that home run stride during the All Star break and settle back into the normal batting stance they are acquired to in the regular season.
mm.
I would personally say get rid of the home run derby, but it's a cash cow.
It really
The
is.
big cash cow.
Yeah.
That's a great breakdown, and ultimately, I would love to see what the fans think about that. Um,
Yeah.
and there's been a lot of talk for NFL moving the Pro Bowl to the mid-season, like baseball, like
Oh,
basketball. So we'll have to see if that takes place eventually. But all right, so two questions off the top of my mind I want to ask you guys real quick before we end. So What do you think is the toughest pitch to throw in baseball? Just off the top of your mind.
Uncle
Knuckleball. Yes.
Tim Wakefield, Hall of Famer. Oh yeah.
Mm, for sure. In my opinion, I've always tried to throw this pitch. I don't really play baseball a lot. When I did, I was always in the outfield. I would say probably the changeup. I just can't get that drop in the ball. I don't know. I'm sure it's probably pretty easy to get a hang of, but people throwing change balls has always been curious to me because that can get in the head of those batters. They see it coming, that drops off all of a sudden at the plate. I feel like changeups are definitely a pretty hard ball to hit.
Yeah, we often as fans, we really obviously we get emotional if you have a favorite team, no matter what the outcome, win or loss, you're screaming. But we don't give enough credit to the batters because they're used to seeing the 90, 100 mile per hour
Mm,
rockets. All of a sudden,
yes,
70, 65, it completely dips or it's early and you're swinging at air. Yeah,
exactly. That is extremely tough, and major respect to all of those players because they've been training their entire lives for that moment, and pressure makes diamonds. So, also, last question before we end things. So, what do you guys think about players rushing the mound after someone gets hit? Do you think pitchers intentionally all the time hits the batters, or do you think it's accidental oftentimes?
he's next.
Um, uh, I think it's a little bit of both. Sometimes I think pitchers get frustrated, and I
Mm,
don't know if it's necessarily absolutely on purpose, but I think sometimes they let when they let go of the ball, it just kind of goes a little further, like a little higher up than they expected.
yeah.
Bam, a little more to the
Mm.
right. Bam.
Oh,
You threw me a curveball asking me this question because I grew up where it was absolutely intentional.
mm,
You want to get a edge on your opponent. And I'm not going to throw names, but Atlanta, Phillies, 90s, it's much like talking about the Eagles, Cowboys.
ooh,
It's a clash.
yes, big
And
clash.
there are both Philly and Brave pitchers who did that in the 90s, and I'm not against it, but you also have to be respectful because this is it's not golf. Golf is a gentleman's game,
Yes.
but you have to a lot of these guys aren't single. They're family men
Mm,
trying to put food on the table. And to throw at someone either shoulder or higher and their kids see that's traumatic. I mean, I'm
mm,
a father. I'm just speaking on behalf of a dad,
yeah.
15-year-old and 10-year-old. My kids don't want to see dad get hit in the head or the shoulder area and possible injury that's career altering. You got to be respectful on both ends of that. And also, if you guys want to look at the highlights, a Baltimore Oriole, I don't know off the top of my head, he just got beamed in the stinking head. And Oriole Yankee game a day or two ago, it might have been yesterday. What are your thoughts on that?
That is crazy. Because I mean that's why you got to wear that helmet for a reason.
Fully. I was told there is a possibility, again, not knowing the guy's name, but I saw the post game. He may lose his hearing.
Oh
So
wow.
again, like I spoke of, it got him right in the ear. So now, dad, if he is a dad, he's got to go home to his family. Unfortunately, handicapped now, possibly because of retaliation or gaining an edge on your opponent. It's just ridiculous, and it's not worth it. It's got to be excused from the game.
No, I agree. That like are like headshots are definitely not something to play with, especially with like how much CTEs like came into play over like all these different sports over the last couple of years. So yeah, that's definitely not something that need to be taken lightly. Like if like you hit him in the leg or something, I can definitely see it like a lot better.
Mhm.
Even up in the ribs or something, but like you're getting in that headshot. That's NFL. You get it's called targeting, and then you're ejected.
I fully agree. There should be a targeting implemented with MLB. Everyone's talking so much about professional sports and upping safety. I mean, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Died, and not die, I'm sorry, not junior, sorry,
Senior.
senior died, and then here goes NASCAR safety, and it's there was a guy that had a heart attack or his heart stopped during an NFL game. All of a sudden, like you spoke of, sir, with the CET. Now safety regulations went up in the NFL. And I don't want that to happen to MLB where we're waiting for a tragic incident like Dale Sr. or the gentleman that had a heart attack. I can't think of his name on the field in the NFL. We should not wait for a tragedy.
Yes, I agree. I think intentional balls thrown at batters is just extremely dangerous. And I get it. Like, there's rivalries in baseball, there's rivalries in any sport, really. But ultimately, you got to be respectful. You got to be respectful. I mean, these guys have families. So I would say percentage-wise, it would probably be in the upper 80s. Intentional, I would say there's probably a few stray balls that could connect, but more times than not, I feel like it probably is intentional because these guys are major leagues. They know what they're doing. Um, so
Well,
ultimately, I think you got to be careful. You got to know if you want to hit somebody, don't throw it at the head. If you want to walk them, if you want to if there's a rivalry brewing, if someone's wanting to intentionally throw it at somebody to get on for a walk, I've seen people get hit with body shots. You don't have to throw it at the head. But it's very interesting because whenever those benches do clear, those are massive brawls. And uh, I've seen, I believe it was a player back in the early 2010s. There was a massive fight, Toronto Blue Jays. I can't remember the player's name off the top of my head, but it was an intense, intense moment for both of those teams. And that could honestly even fire up a team to where they get some motivation and end up winning the ball game.
before we end this channel, I'd like to give two special shout outs. My son and daughter, Miles in London, Dad loves you, and American Legion Post 87 here in North Carolina. PTSD play by play was revived because of Jeremy, Army veteran. Thank you so much for your confidence in me.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for joining today. Been a special episode talking baseball with our friend PTSD play-by-play. Check out his channel and just give us a follow. Everybody watching this video, check out the TikTok. Leave a comment down below if you haven't already. But it's been a pleasure, everyone.
We out.